and welcome to another episode of the Kid Stories Podcast. I'm Phil Bechtel. Let's get into a shout-out. Gus and Delaney left me a voice message through SpeakPipe on the Kid Stories Podcast website. Thanks for that, you two. I think if you two were characters in the stories, you would be swamp dogs, a race of wizards who live in the southern swamps and can turn into human-sized dogs at will. Thanks for listening, Gus and Delaney. Today's episode is titled The Scavengers, Part 3. "We're coming in hot!" yelled Kyle. The emergency shuttle was hurtling toward the surface of Gavita so fast the protective heat panels were beginning to melt. "There, take it down there," Liam shouted, pointing to a small clearing near a forest. Kyle and Nathan both wrangled the controls in front of them, and they managed to crash land fairly well. The ship bounced and slid on the wet grass, eventually coming to rest against the trees at the edge of the forest. They quickly gathered some necessary items and stumbled out the hatch and onto Gavita. Liam and Nathan took a minute to look over the emergency shuttle that used to be the bridge of their ship. They'd spent most of their lives on that ship, and now it was toast. "At least we've got enough creds to buy a new ship," Liam said, patting his backpack, which held the 1,000,000,000 credits and the quantum core. "Assuming we make it out of this alive," said Nathan. "Honestly, the odds of that are pretty slim," said Kyle, "especially if you two just stand around talking while we're being hunted by that evil robot and his robot minions." The three turned and began jogging through the woods. "Do we even know where we're going?" Kyle asked. "We gotta get away from the crash site first," said Liam. "Blackstar's probably gonna land right there, so we find a place to hide until we can come up with a feasible plan." They ran through the forest, trying to keep in a straight line, hoping to come across a cave or something else they could hide in for a bit. After 2 hours of running, they could see the edge of the forest ahead, and beyond that was a small town. After they stepped out of the forest, they found a road leading to the town and began walking straight there. "Perfect! Maybe somebody there can help us or hide us or something," Liam said. "Blackstar's gonna burn this town to the ground," Kyle said. "You know that, right? Those robots are gonna track us through that forest pretty easily, and they're gonna see this town just like we did, and even if we're not there, the robots are gonna destroy that town looking for us." Liam and Nathan looked at each other. "Kyle's right. We're gonna need to fight Blackstar eventually," Nathan said. "Running's pointless. They'll find us eventually, and they'll destroy everything to get to us." "Oh, sure, yeah, just let me call my army of good guys. Man, I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. The good guy army will come and fight the bad guys for us." "Perfect," Liam said sarcastically. "How are we supposed to fight an army of evil robots? We don't even have a ship anymore." Nathan patted Liam's backpack. "Well, we do have 1,000,000,000 credits and the quantum core. That's not nothing." The little town was quaint. Little wood homes, small farms dotted the landscape around the town. Livestock animals putted about fenced-in yards. "Anybody else see, like, a police station or anything?" Kyle asked. "No, but that lady's holding a clipboard and pointing at stuff," said Liam. "People with clipboards are usually in charge." They approached the woman holding the clipboard as she was giving instructions to a small group of laborers working on a new building. She turned and looked at the boys. "You're late, and you're dressed weird, but whatever," the woman said. "Get started on the far wall there." The boys all looked down at their clothes, realizing they looked very out of place. Everyone here was wearing handmade clothes, old-fashioned outfits of either brown or white, and the boys were dressed in piloting gear. Yeah, well, we're not here to work. We just need to find someone in charge," said Liam. "Okay, then, you found her," the woman said. "I'm Yedda. I'm the mayor, and I'm busy. Blackstar is here on Gavita. They're going to be here any minute," said Nathan, getting right to the point. Yedda just stared at them. "That makes no sense. Why would Blackstar come here? We've got nothing of value to them." Even here on this little basic planet, they had heard of Blackstar. "It's not you they're after, it's us," said Liam. "We crash-landed here in a clearing just through those woods." By now, a small group of people had taken note of their mayor talking to some strangely dressed people who were clearly from off-planet. "Okay, so if Blackstar is after you, then we just hand you over to Blackstar," said Yedda. The boys did not anticipate this response. Kyle piped up. "If you know Blackstar, you know they're not just going to grab us and get out of here. They're going to look around and wonder what else they can take. And something tells me if they did a subsurface scan, they'd find that Gavita is chock full of natural resources. They'd do away with everyone here and strip mine this entire planet in less than a year." Yedda glared at Kyle. "We've got to do something quick," said Liam. He looked back at the forest, wondering how much time they had before Blackstar came stomping through those trees. "Do you have any weapons here?" Yedda turned to a nearby citizen. "Sound the alarm. Full defense." Someone ran to a big bell in the center of town and began banging it with a hammer. Everyone in this little village dropped what they were doing and ran. Many of them ran down the road, presumably to the next town. Some ran up into the hills nearby. "Follow me," Yedda said. She turned and rushed out of town toward a nearby forest. The mayor gave orders to people as she hustled off. "Make sure the next towns know what's coming. Do not engage the robots until further notice. Tell everyone to hide until we think of something. You two, come with us." Liam, Nathan, and Kyle hustled to keep up. They followed Yedda into the woods, climbing up a steep hill filled with trees. Soon they were high above the little town. Yedda and the two helpers she called to follow her stood before what appeared to be a stone wall, a place where the hill became a mountain. The stone wall was covered in thick vines that hung down from above. One of her helpers moved the vines out of the way to reveal a hidden entrance, carved right into the stone there. Yedda gestured for the boys to enter, and they stepped into the darkness. Liam stopped and turned back when he realized Yedda wasn't following them. She was still standing at the entrance to the cave, looking down on her little town. Liam stood beside her, and they watched as the Blackstar robots marched into the town far below. They were too far away to make out specific details, but they could see that one robot led the way, and 6 others followed. Liam wondered how many more were back on their ship. And were even more robots on their way to Gavita right now? The robots rushed around the town, entering buildings and looking all over. Then the leader bot addressed the other 6. They couldn't hear what he said, but they could see him gesturing with his arms, pointing. Then the other bots all spread out to different buildings, and bright orange flames burst from their outstretched arms as the Blackstar robots burned the town to the ground. Liam thought about apologizing, but decided against it. Yedda said nothing. She spun and stomped into the hidden entrance, and everyone else followed. The end. Thanks for listening, friends. The website is kidstoriespodcast.com. Send all your drawings and shout-out requests to kidstoriespodcast@gmail.com. Adios.